Hello everyone, I'm Megan Sullivan and welcome to my video on making a case for Dragon's Dogma II. This video is for those who are initially not interested in, leery of, or uncertain about Dragon's Dogma II. I'm going to try and convince you that it is absolutely worth your time and money. If I manage to convince you, please like and subscribe and click that little bell and I'll be sure to bring you more gaming goodness in the future. Thank you. So, if you're watching this video, you might be on the fence about Dragon's Dogma 2. You've heard that it's too short, or it's too long, and you don't have time to play it, or you're not into open world games, or you're not into open world RPGs, and then there's something about microtransactions or janky frame rates. Something is putting you off. Well, I'm here to allay your fears and prove that Dragon's Dogma is true Game of the Year material. And with that, let's get into why. So one of the big reasons some people avoid RPGs, particularly JRPGs, is because they tend to be long, and a lot of gamers just don't have time to get tangled up in a 60+ hour adventure. Well, good news. The general consensus seems to be that you can finish Dragon's Dogma 2 in as little as 22 hours. In fact, the average time ranges between 22 and 36 hours if you're just focusing on the main storyline. However, if you're like me and you want more bang for your buck, you can easily get 80+ hours of entertainment by exploring Dragon Dogma 2's vast wilderness and checking out every side quest, village, cave, and monument you come across. So, don't worry about the time it takes you to complete Dragon's Dogma 2. How long it takes is entirely up to you. Another reason people might be avoiding Dragon's Dogma 2 is that they find open world RPGs to be boring, because there's not a lot to see and there's not a lot to do. But I'm here to tell you that in Dragon's Dogma 2, there's no shortage of places to go, people to meet, and cool things to see. It's not just empty wilderness. You'll find treasures and caves and ruins and villages all over the place. And what makes this game exciting is some quests are timed, giving missions like saving a village from a dragon or rescuing a boy from rabid wolves a real sense of urgency. Meanwhile, other quests have multiple solutions, and the more creative you are, the more it pays off. What's great about Dragon's Dogma is that it has a D&D quality about it. If you can think it up, and it's possible, it just might work, which makes gameplay a lot more fun. For instance, if you accept a mission where you have to recover a rare gem and have a choice of giving it to two people who are looking for it, you can make a forgery of the gem, give it to one party, and give the genuine article to the other party and get a reward for both things. If you don't feel like going the long way around while exploring, you can fling an AI companion off a cliff, revive them if they die, then jump after them and have them catch you. Voila, instant shortcut. And I admit I'm kind of proud of myself for this one. If you're struggling against a big enemy and wish you had a 5th party member instead of yourself and 3 AI companions, guess what? You can fling pawns wandering the world map over your shoulder and just take them along for the ride. The game highly encourages you to get creative and not be afraid of going on an adventure. Some fans have even stumbled across secret areas just by messing around with objects they see lying around, like a repairable catapult, which is great for combat and exploration. Speaking of combat, one of the biggest highlights of Dragon's Dogma 2 is taking on enemies. Dragon's Dogma 2 is a mix of Monster Hunter and Shadow of the Colossus and Skyrim, and it's awesome. You can literally climb all over massive lumbering ogres, cyclops, griffins, dragons, etc., use giant rocks in the wilderness to crush your opponents, and ride enemies or trick enemies off a cliff if you so choose. And while you're fighting one monster, another kaiju monster and a posse of smaller enemies might just show up to the party. So suddenly you're fighting goblins, wolves, and a griffin at the same time, but don't panic, sometimes these monsters will fight each other, which means you can just sit back and enjoy the action. But wait, there's more. Even crazier is that monsters, I kid you not, will sometimes drop into town. There are no safe spaces in Dragon's Dogma 2, so you might be leisurely shopping in the market, hear a noise, turn around, and watch in utter disbelief as a cyclops comes stumbling through the city gates, lurching into buildings and swinging its club wildly. Go home, Cyclops, you're drunk. There's a spicy bit of unpredictability to Dragon's Dogma, so while town attacks are rare, they happen and they keep you on your toes. But even small encounters are fun, because combat is super fast and addicting. There's this great cadence to it, probably because actions and abilities are tied to a stamina bar, not magic or ability points, which means you can keep the action going as long as you carefully manage your stamina. Plus, the button mapping just makes sense. Normal attacks, jumping, and dodging all have their own simple command buttons, while holding down a shoulder button and tapping a face button will give you access to upgradable vocational skills that do all sorts of crazy stuff. And if you get tired of firing off arrows or swinging your sword, you can visit a town and swap out vocations, each of which feel wonderfully distinct and have their own very cool, unique abilities. What I love about Dragon's Dogma is that it wants you to test out every type of job class. Yes, you can master a single job class and you can dominate the Mystic Spearhand vocation, but if you become proficient at more than one vocation, you'll be prepared for any situation. And since each job class has special passive skills that can really make a difference in battle, it behooves you to unlock and master as many jobs as you can to become the ultimate warrior on the battlefield. Keep in mind, however, that no matter how good you are, the world can be a scary, monster-filled place. But happily, you're not alone. Yet another reason Dragon's Dogma 2 is worth your time is the pawn system. This feature allows you to take up to 3 AI companions with you as you explore the world and tackle missions. One of these AI companions is exclusively yours, and you can tweak them to be the perfect companion in the character creator. Not only can you decide on their looks, their voice, and their vocation, you can also decide their personality, which will determine what actions they take out in the world and in battle. They can be aggressive in combat, or be curious and go find treasure for you, etc., etc. Now, only one of these companions is actually yours, and here's where things get really interesting. The other pawns belong to other players, and must be chosen at a location called the Rift, which is accessible through lots of rift stones throughout the land. Once you're in the Rift, you can look at a pawn's vocation level, the quality of their equipment, their stats, their personality, etc., and see if they'd be a great fit for your team. Pawns your level are free, but if you want to take along a much more advanced pawn, one that's actually above your level, you can do so by acquiring rift crystals in battle and picking them up around the world. The great thing about these pawns is not only will they fight alongside you, they'll carry items for you, so you're not weighed down by equipment. Now keep in mind, while your main pawn will level up with you, your AI companions won't, which means it pays to regularly swap out pawns, although you can favorite pawns you like and hire them later when they're stronger. In short, Dragon's Dogma 2 wants you to experiment with all sorts of different pawn types and personalities and vocations, etc. By the way, your pawn will also go on adventures with other players while you're away from the game, or when you're resting at an inn or a house, and bring you back rewards and combat knowledge. In other words, the pawn system is a super cool feature that connects you to the Dragon's Dogma community without having to do the whole MMO thing, which is great for those of us who are pretty shy and also don't have that kind of time to dedicate to regular raids and events and whatnot. Now really fast, I wanted to dispel 2 negative things you might have heard about. First is a janky frame rate, which Capcom is actually actively working on, and in the meantime, they've actually added a 30 frame per second cap if you want it. So that's the good news there. The second thing you might have heard about is microtransactions, which are pretty much non-existent in this game. I don't know why that became a news story. There is nothing preventing you from getting the things you need in-game to progress the story. In short, Dragon's Dogma is a great experience, and I didn't even talk about the lovely music, the simple but effective crafting system, and the shallow but nice romance system. There's a lot of stuff I actually didn't have time to cover here. In fact, that reminds me, I didn't even cover the story, but to be honest, there's not much of a story. A dragon steals your heart, you try to get it back. Meanwhile, there's some politicking in a couple of different areas of the world, etc., etc. As for the ending, I will tell you when I get there. There are multiple endings, and I'm trying to get the true ending right now, so we'll see if I succeed. If this ending is anything like the bonkers ending of the first game, I'm in for a ride. But to be honest, guys, the story is almost beside the point. You're going to be having too much fun exploring and fighting Cyclops and Griffins and getting into romantic situations and just exploring and having an amazing time while doing it. So hopefully I've convinced you to give Dragon's Dogma 2 a try. Thanks so much for watching, guys. See you later.